And so, that takes us into our next bout. We got a nice bantamweight bout. On one end, we got a pretty serious vet in Eddie Wineland.
Right.
Well, yeah, it was a real treat learning about this guy, man. Who knew? He's been around for so long. And, on the flip side, we got an exciting prospect in John Castaneda.
Castaneda, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's touch on Eddie for a little bit here. He got that 24-14-1 record. And, man, like I said, he's been in the UFC since 2011, man. That's so crazy. He made his debut on a Shogun-Jones main event.
Right.
Where he took on Uriah Faber. Like, are you kidding me? That's so
And, man, like that John Jones Gustafson UFC 165 in Toronto, like he fought Head and Barral. Like that's basically one of Barrow's fights to get to the title, right? Right to TJ.
Been around forever, man. Yeah, that's insane. Nuts. So he has gone 6-8 in the UFC. So I'm sure he's looking to improve that one. Most recently he lost to some crazy names, and most recently he lost to Sean O Malley back in June. He's lost 3 of his last 4. He's going to be looking to get forward and back rolling on this one. Anything else you want to touch on Eddie before we jump into John here?
Yeah, well, I feel like in that fight, he kind of made Sean O'Malley look the part, right? Like he kind of kept his chin out there. He kind of waited for him to pick his kind of shots, and that's exactly what Sean wants you to do. But when you look at the guys he's fighting before that, John Dodson, amazing fighter, but that's back in 2017. Like that's also when Dodson was pretty much at his towards the end of his prime, approaching that over the whole stage. But he's such a gamer, right? And such a good athlete. Alejandro Perez. I've taught you enough about this man against, rising champion out there. So I think in all those fights, you're kind of seeing Eddie Wineland's like, this is the pedigree. He gets these fights for that reason. Now you're looking at, Castaneda. I really believe, when you look at the fight against Nathaniel Wood, we actually sprinkled that finish and it came a little bit close, but the kid's got chin, bro. He's got chin. And he took a lot of big shots from Nathaniel Wood. I think Wood's able to keep really good pressure for 3 rounds. He ate some of his best shots and just kept coming forward. What I didn't like was he didn't have any combos of his own. I felt like he was kind of looping a lot of shots. And when you're looping shots against a guy like Nathaniel Wood, he's coming back with 2 to 3 shots in combos. So his counter striking is just outdoing you and outpointing you both. Like it's a lot to deal with, right? And so in a fight like this, especially when they're supposed to be smaller guys, you want to be the first to attack. And even Eddie Wineland kind of, you saw it against Sean O'Malley. Like he kind of does have that sit back and pick his shots. So, I think that unfortunately, youth and chin might play a massive role in this fight if it stays on the feet. And Eddie is a legend, bro. We're talking legend, WEC legend, like Dominic Cruz for sure, but like the Carlos Condit style, like long time, WEC was part of his prime kind of fighter, like Uriah Faber and Aldo, all those guys, man. Like he's part of that group, right? So he's had a long career. It's really impressive, but again, where we see him kind of taking the shots is where you don't want to see a fighter taking the shot. And this is probably going to break your heart, but there was a report how I think Frankie said that when he woke up from the Corey fight, he had no idea who he fought, and he didn't even remember the training camp leading up to it.
No way.
So it's just so for some of these guys that like are obviously legends of the sport, but are also chinny, it's just like these are the kind of guys that you kind of want to, I feel like Dana's been pretty good with telling the guys that he's really seeing, kind of lose that step to make a decision. But at this point, it's like maybe that needs to be stepped up a little bit more, especially for the sanctity of the sport and that kind of thing, because if Frankie's like coming out public.
Yeah, we don't want to see these greats go down like this.
It's very similar to football, right? Like when you think about Junior Seau's story and all these guys, right? Like Roman Nowinski, like these are men that we looked up to in the 90s, and we're just hearing about what happens to them as they age. And unfortunately, like, if we're going to entertain these things as sport, then these are all things that the athlete, the families, the organizations, the teams all have to consider, right? I think that's going to be a big part of the sports moving forward.
For sure. And so, before we dive right into the lines here, you had mentioned that Nathaniel Wood won a few times, and, we had taken him by finish, and watching that fight, it felt like Nathaniel Wood had the opportunity to finish him quite a few times, but kind of decided to conserve his energy and make sure he can get to the end and not just unload on some of these. Would you not agree with that?
Well, I think what you end up seeing sometimes, bro, is that I think you have to make a conscious decision that if you are fighting a man who legitimately is showing extremely good chin, why waste your energy on power shots
on the finish,
if you know that for those next 2 rounds or 1 round, you are going to have to outpoint him. And that's where like I felt like his energy looked great. His combos did not look worse. He did eat a couple of shots from John, but I don't think that they did much damage per se. I really think that was his fight from the very start. But that was the thing, right? Like just the Castaneda chin. It was just something to marvel, if you will. And to kind of back your point in a weird way, it's like you do kind of make that judgment call in a positive way, though. You know, it's not in a negative way.
Absolutely.
It's
strategic.
Yeah,
sure.
where you kind of, that's where you consider a guy, like if you know fighters really well, like Nathaniel Wood on points, for example, when you know that Castaneda is coming in with that, because he did get rocked a couple times early. But the thing is, the kid just keeps coming. And that's where I think when you look at the way Wineland gets dumped sometimes, it's a little different, you know? I don't think he's really like kind of pushing forward while he's rock kind of thing. It's more of like it landed clean kind of thing.
For sure. So, let's dive right into these lines. Let's see if we can get this guy off his high train, remove him from that Hogwarts Express here and bring him back to reality here. So where do you see the line landing for this one?
Yeah, so, I mean, here's the thing. Castaneda hasn't been finished for, like, almost a decade. I think it's, like, closer to, like, 7 years or something. But I really do like the unders. If we could see that, I would have loved it. But I have to give Castaneda the edge here. I think the youth, I think that the Nathaniel Wood fight, if it was any, preamble to what we can see, it's, like, a bit more of the cleanup on the feet. The chin, man, it's the chin. And I think you have to see that, on the reverse side of Wineland kind of being towards the end of his career. So I am going to have to go with Castaneda as a favorite. And I don't know if that's surprising or not, because I do think that that's the Vegas call. You know what I mean? And the line, can he be a minus 200? I don't think so. So I'm going minus 170 Castaneda.
Finally, just outside the range. I don't have to hear this bell again.
Or your boy, okay.
I've been seeing too much of this guy, man.
Right?
He's gonna start popping up in my dreams here. So this is actually a pick'em, man. It's actually nobody's favorite in this one. It's an actual pick'em.
And I can see that. And so for me, man, like keep an eye on that under. Let's see what that looks like. It might not be very juicy, but if it's anything close to that minus 150, bro, I can see it just going that way,
Yeah.
I think both guys like to bang, and it'll be interesting to see if Castaneda really is just gonna go 3 rounds with him, because he hasn't been finished, and Wineland has finished people who are relatively chinny, but unfortunately this man is not. So that's where I think we're gonna hedge that a little bit and just like take the under, because I kind of like Castaneda at that pick'em, given where my original line was, if I was, kind of in your shoes too. But at the same time, like, why not kind of take that under and enjoy the fight, depending on where the line is. But I think we'll be revisiting that specific fight a bit closer.
Absolutely. I need to see what that finish is for Mr. Castaneda. So, yeah, stay tuned for that one. Safe to say, we are pumped for this one. UFC Vegas 19 takes place next Saturday, headlined by our boy, the Black Beast, taking on Curtis Blaydes. We got a bunch of beauty heavyweight fights on that card, so I'm super pumped for it. That wraps it up today. If you haven't already done so, smash that like button, hit that bell button, give us that subscribe, the follow. All our Instagram, Twitter is all there. Any questions, comments you guys have, just send them our way. Anything else, Siraj?
I mean, just be ready. Like, we keep pumping this fight up, but be ready for a 5-round wrestling match where Curtis Blaydes isn't able to finish this man, and Derrick Lewis isn't able to get off his back after 3 rounds, and you're just watching a guy get taken down for 5 rounds. So just be ready for that as well.
Nice little disclaimer there, my man. Always a pleasure, dude. Take care.
You too, my guy. Take care.